this evening. We're here to talk about Elevate St George Wheelpark. My name's Rob Wyatt. I'm one of the volunteers that works for Elevate. My background is in construction management, and I also am an avid BMXer. Also with the panel today, do you mind introducing yourselves, Asha, first?
Oh, hi everyone, I'm Councillor Asha Craig. I am the local councillor for the ward of St George West, which is where St George Park and the current skate park is, and an avid fan and supporter of this initiative.
Hi everyone, I'm Susy Feltham. I'm the landscape works and play manager for Bristol City Council. So I'm kind of overseeing it from the council perspective and working with Elevate to get this excited project off the ground.
Great, thank you both. If you mind turning your videos off, we'll bring you back in. So towards the end, we're going to have a Q&A session once we've gone through the presentation. But during any point during the presentation, if you want to submit some questions, you look down in the panel at the bottom, and you'll find a Q&A section. So submit questions throughout, and there's a little vote button, which if you click that, it will increase the hierarchy of the questions up to the top. You know, if something you feel passionate about, you know, a question that someone else has asked, then by all means vote it, and we'll do it in that order. Okay, so first thing, what is Elevate Bristol? Not sure how many people have visited the website, but we are a local community group. We're a bunch of local volunteers. We come from various backgrounds and some day jobs. Some of us are local residents. Some of us are local users of the skate park. I'm coming from BMXing, skateboarding, surf skates, mountain biking, all sorts of sports and disciplines. And the whole point of Elevate is to try and not only save the park in its current kind of condition, but also improve it for the future. I just want to take this on to a short promotion video that we've prepared for you.
I would say that the Elevate project is going to be part of developing and regenerating a new and ambitious Bristol. And you know Bristol, we don't do anything by half. I was really, really excited. When I saw the presentation that was made, I was really bowled away, particularly by the ambition of the project as well. I am a very keen fan. It can do so much more than just be a skate park. There actually isn't anything for young people, children and young people over 8 and older in the ward per se. And the skate park is tremendously used by young and older. We are a city of firsts. And again, one of the things I loved about the idea and the design, this could be a really amazing venue that's skateboarders and non-skateboarders, because remember, a lot of the young people who are here, their families bring them here. They may not necessarily be skateboarding fans, but Bristol has a large skateboarding community. I see them every day, and I think it would be great for those skateboarders to know that there is a really accessible skateboarding venue in the city. We've got new families coming in, and the visitors, because remember, this is an iconic park for Bristol, and many people come from far and wide. So the audience for Elevate is going to be huge. We could look at the Elevate project itself actually providing kind of skateboarding classes and lessons for young people and families, and you know, for different ages. I didn't realise so many people think it's just a young sport, but I can see by many of the people who come and visit here, skateboarders know no boundary when it comes to age. It doesn't discriminate when it comes to age. So I would like to see training programs to enable young people to learn how to skate, and even I might try something. I know what can be done, particularly when the community gets together, and I can see this happening. So yeah, I'm excited. Elevate will come and elevate not only the park, but St George and the city. The focus is on Bristol at the moment, and I think we're really renowned at like being a city of firsts, and Elevate will add to that.
Thanks everyone, and thanks for Ash's input on that video. It was fantastic. So just a little bit of background to the Wheelpark. So St George Wheelpark is one of the oldest and largest outdoor wheel parks in England. It's been the source of so much heritage in all sorts of British wheeled sports. There's just a small list here of some of the professional athletes that have trained here. Some of them I'm sure you'll be familiar with. So what's actually the problem with the skate park at the moment? The park is quite old. It's been altered with a mix of materials, and it's been fairly costly to maintain, which has led to the current closure of about half the park, as you can see there in the image. The changes that have been made over the time have been fairly piecemeal. They've not really considered as a whole skate park, and this has led to user conflict. A lot of accidents tend to happen on a daily basis. There's also a lack of access for all users to use it safely, and there's also a lack of viewing areas for family and friends. So what is our vision at Elevate? So we want to create a community hub. So there's an active space for all ages and abilities. We want a world-class facility. So we're aspiring to be up there with the best around the world. We want to inspire and train the Olympic hopefuls for the future, and we certainly want to enhance the area and the park as a whole. So, the question is, who are we improving the wheel park for? We're going to be designing a new park, and it's going to be for everyone. We don't want anyone to be excluded from this great community asset. So how are we going to achieve this? How are we going to improve the wheel park? So to begin with, we need to design and construct a facility that reduces all the user conflict we've currently got, that it ties in with the surrounding park better, has lower maintenance and a good quality finish. And we also want to improve the community values with family integration, disabled access, and use programs for mentoring, coaching, and various social events. Some examples of some of those latter items, we've got support from a number of organisations, including Access Sport. Their vision is that no one should be excluded from transformational benefits of any community sports. So we definitely encourage you to go and visit www.accessport.org.uk to find out a little bit more about their organisation. We are also being supported by Bike Bristol. They want to allow everyone to cycle in the city, and they would like to set up one of their bike hubs. You can see a similar image in the bottom left-hand corner. And they'd like to offer support, training, learn to ride, parts, bike hire, repairs, and sales. So I think that would be a great asset to the scheme. So what benefits are going to come from the improved park? Well, not only is it going to improve physical health with exercise, but also the social community aspect will definitely improve people's mental health. Aside from this, there's obviously local economic benefits. It will raise the profile of the area. There'll be more visitors to the area and the park. And in turn, there'll be more spending for local businesses throughout St George. So where do we start with the process? How will we produce the designs? So we set kind of a clear three-stage process here. First one is listening. So we're going to have the community consultation, which includes this presentation and some surveys, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Second stage will be consulting. So we are working with World Skate at the moment as an organisation that can specify a skate park that's of a certain Olympic standard. So we're looking for consultation at this level. Then once we get to that point, we will then be designing it with some of the UK's award-winning skatepark companies. So getting that expert input on the construction side. So as I say, have your say, because this is part of the listening, the first stage of the three-stage process. So get your questions in, and we'll answer those at the end. Moving on then, so we've looked at some inspirational designs that are currently around the UK. Just slip to the next slide. We've got a couple here. So first one, again, some may be familiar with these, and we have visited them. Concrete Waves down in Newquay in Cornwall. Very, very popular skate park. Was originally a very dilapidated wooden skate park. Great use of, you know, a large area space, a lot of obstacles in such a, you know, a small area. Very, very clearly thought out in terms of, you know, areas to skate and ride, that doesn't cause, you know, user conflict, but at the same time, you know, on a quiet day, it can flow from one area into the next, which is great. We've also got the level at Brighton, very similar in terms of the concrete waves, but I think they've kind of stretched out into the space that they had a little bit more, you know, creating some more flatter areas for street and things like that. So this is the kind of thing that's inspiring us, but I think, you know, there's such a massive grey concrete there that we also want to, you know, engage the designs, make them more creative and beautiful. We want to be able to add some colours, some textures and designs, which some of the UK skate park builders have started to introduce in some of their more recent parks. We want the seating area to be a bit more engaging than just your basic picnic benches, if we can. And we like to engage other sports and activities. You know, we've got the multi-use games area in the centre. You know, if we can get enough funding together, we'd like to incorporate that into the rejuvenation of the park. And we'd like to incorporate other sports and activities around that. I mean, there's an example there of, you know, climbing walls that could be applied to the back of the skate park, you know, raised areas. There's obviously a multi-use games area, and other things like that. And we've also had some concept art done through the years from a couple of the most famous UK skate park builders. So Maverick Industries looked at the area of the park. This all the way back in 2010. I think that was just prior to the last kind of items that were installed, that most will be aware of. Moving on from there, we've had Canvas more recently have a look at it, just think what they could do with the space. I'll just let these images sit there for a little while longer. We've got another slide with a couple more angles showing some of the, you know, interesting parts of the park. And then finally, just an overview of the Canvas design, just to explain the kind of thinking that, you know, behind their design at the moment, going back to some of the issues really. We've got, well, so Canvas is tried to approach this with different zones for different levels and styles of, you know, of riding and skating. They've tried to include areas of the green space within the actual compound of the skate park to integrate the seating for families and friends. They've also introduced other sports around the mugger. I don't know if you can make it out there, but there's like gym equipment, a ping pong table, some further seating, which is great. And they've tried to move away from, you know, large expanses of you know, grey concrete by adding more and more colour to it. And as I said before, the kind of colours, patterns and textures, even images that you can incorporate on the sides of obstacles seems to be very popular at the moment. But the question is, I mean, how do you want the final design to look? You know, overall that's down to you and this first part of the consultation really. So what's the next plan of action for Elevate? So we have got a survey set up for the residents and users. We have a crowdfunding page set up and launched today along with this consultation. We are then going for a number of fundraising targets, including SIL application, and then we will commence the initial design consultation in accordance with the three-step process. I'll provide more information on links to the survey and the crowdfunding at the end of the Q&A. All right, but you could also find it, actually, I think it is added to the chat if someone wants to grab that quickly now. We've got a number of people supporting us in this scheme. So we've got British Cycling, Access Sport, who I mentioned earlier on, Bristol Skatepark Collective, who've been quite helpful in rejuvenating a number of facilities around Bristol. We've got Skateboard England, and of course the council is with us today and fully backs this scheme. We've also got, as I mentioned before, we're engaging with World Skate, who will put us in touch with designers and skateboard builders that can, you know, specify a good level of world-class, you know, competition skate park. as well as other high-profile organisations and various, individuals in and around all the extreme sports. Okay, so thanks for your time for the presentation, and we're going to move it on to some questions and answers. Okay, someone's just upvoted. So we've got the first question. Plans sound great. Sorry, this is from an anonymous person. Plans sound great. What's the timeline? When could we see the new park built and use? So I don't mind taking this question. The timeline, I mean, if you go to our website, we're looking at roughly a 3-year process, really. First year being the consultation, second year being the fundraising, and the third year being the construction. So this isn't, a quick process by any means. However, we are commencing the funding alongside the consultation process at the moment to kind of speed that process up as much as possible. But given the aspirations for the project, it's not going to be, built, anytime next week. Okay. We've got another anonymous attendee. Hi, I'm 45 and still skate all the time with my family at St George's. Fantastic, just like me. I'm a dad and I skate with my family too. I'd be really keen to see the park layout, as we all would. And how is it going to meet the needs of all users? It would be good if it's progressive learning park with transition sizes for all abilities. A comparison would be Bath Park that has a 10-foot vert bowl, has a tiny small bowl. It's a good example of having both extremes, but no progression. Having an Olympic standard is great, but there has to be a way to progress into that. Again, this is going back to the kind of design process, really. And the thing I would say, obviously, we put up some concept art from Canvas and Maverick, over the last few years, and we will certainly be engaging with these kind of park builders. But none of the design is set at the moment, and that's why we encourage you to go and fill out the survey. We've got quite detailed questions on there about specific obstacles, what style of skating and riding, etc., that you might do, and what might be most popular to use for the park. And once we gather all that information, we can put that into the design of the skate park. So we're not dismissing anything at the moment, but we absolutely want to encourage the development. So I would hope to see different zones, for kind of beginners and younger children moving up to that competition standard areas. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Susy or Asha?
I think it is. I think you're right. It is very much it's an open book at the minute. It's not something that's we've got specific designs. I mean, those designs that you showed in your presentation, Rob, were ones, like you said, that you got to be able to inform like funders, or to be able to kind of see how much what is possible. But it's definitely not, as you've said to me previously, and you said in the presentation, it's not prescriptive of what is going to be there. I think what we've spoken about is very much that progression, having something that is for everyone. And in Asha's presentation, she said the same, that it is, we want to have that, that it's for everybody and not just an elite park for the Olympics.
Yeah, if I could add, I mean, it's all going to be down to the design, and already even that this is a new world for me, but I have been watching a lot of skateboarding. The Olympics, I was absolutely hooked with the skate program there, and I could just see, there's so much potential. Even in some of the pictures, it would be great, even maybe as we develop the surveys and we start to look at designs. I think there's some really great designs. I didn't even realize you could put in what is kind of a climbing, the helping people to kind of climb. Love the color scheme. And what's also going to be really important for, I know, a lot of people is the use of maybe sustainable materials in building the park as well, in terms of being environmentally friendly, and using different sorts of materials, because I'm not sure whether or not we can actually use, I know that plastics can be regenerated into maybe a useful material that could be used as opposed to just plain concrete, because I do know some people don't like the idea of concrete, but I love the fact that it will be integrated within the wider kind of green infrastructure of the park itself.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we certainly will be exploring, environmental, routes with the various contractors. Obviously, my background is in construction management. Concrete is seen as not so much an environmental material, although once you factor in kind of life cycle of the facility, obviously it's limited in terms of maintenance costs and things like that. So when you look at that, and the reuse of concrete can be crushed and used for kind of sub bases and foundations for other projects. So it's not as environmentally impacted as some people think. So just bear that in mind, because a lot of skate parks are built with concrete nowadays. But as you say, we want to explore all options really. We've got various people upvoting the questions, so they're kind of jumping around in order. So sorry if I repeat something. We've got one that's quite popular, saying, is there a plan B if funding for the new skate park are not forthcoming? Probably best directed to Susy, I would expect.
Yeah, I can answer that. We are looking into how we can repair. We've done it. We've been doing this for several years, like looking into how we can repair some of the park, and we've had different costs for that, and especially the part that's fenced off at the moment. We've had costs to do a repair on that, and it's coming to £50,000, and that was a few years ago. So that's what we've been looking into, other options, and in that time Elevate came forward. So that's why we've been looking to progress it, rather than just put that amount of money in to just like take out the ramps there, or just yeah. And we are also looking into how we can repair those. I mean, we constantly have been doing repair on them, putting resin in, but as soon as we put it in, it comes out again. So we're trying to find a kind of a more sustainable solution. But the approach that Elevate, that we're talking with Elevate about, is actually improving the whole park and redesigning the whole park, which is, I didn't realize it was 38 years old, but it's at the end of its life.
Yeah, could I just add, I think I have been kind of exploring the potential. So we're going to be talking about putting in a funding bid this year for some SIL funding to go towards that. But there's something called strategic SIL, which is community infrastructure levy funding, and the strategic SIL is the money that's held by the council. So I think it's 85% of the funding goes back into the communities, but 15% is held by the local authority to do bigger projects, like some of the works that we put into Castle Park, and strategic initiative funding that has a citywide, I suppose, impact as well. So I will be talking to colleagues in the growth and regeneration team about looking at using some of the strategic SIL, which runs into quite a few million that we can use towards the maintenance.
Great, thank you, Asha. Okay, so moving on, I think some of these questions have been moved over by my team, which is helpful. We've got a question here from David Malpass. Are you looking at raising the profile in the local community yet? For example, approaching local schools and businesses? Just on behalf of the Elevate team, obviously we're a small bunch of local volunteers. We've got various kind of backgrounds in specialties, you know, from media, from construction design, which, you know, is got us this far with the consultation, really. We have got a section on our website to get in touch with us if you've got some skills that you could bring to the table, such as some kind of connection to, you know, local schools, etc. And be willing to assist in the volunteering scheme. That would be fantastic. Do you care to add anything to that, Asha or Susy? I'm not sure what kind of schemes are available to talk to schools at the moment.
Well, as now the cabinet lead on education, children, and and yeah, everything. When the stars align, the stars align. But I'm going into schools every single week now, so there's an opportunity for me to drop that into the conversation that I have with students, and also I have access. We can, you know, email out information to every single school across the whole city, primary and secondary, and ask children to get involved. I mean, we've just completed the elections around our youth council, and over 11,500 young people voted for who they wanted. So yeah, democracy works when it comes. So if we want it, yeah, there are ways we have access, and obviously the city council will do all it can to support that. We also have access to our community development team. I've got a lot of community champions out there. So if we want to get the information, as long as that we've got the tools and the resources to, there's a lot of help at hand, I think, that can make this happen.
Yeah, great. And it is certainly something we want to encourage with, you know, the younger generation, you know, watching the things like the Olympics and aspiring to be that person in the future. So absolutely want to encourage that. The next question, the top of the list, is from Mayor White. Are you planning on incorporating lighting for use during the evening, although conscious of residents on Lindell Road? I expect Susy might want to say something on this, but I know we did look into this fairly early on, and there are restrictions, as they say, to local residents. Susy, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I don't think we do. We don't actually light skate parks at present. We do with the Moogers, which there is lighting on the Mooger that's there at the moment, the multi-use games area. It was something, I mean, if it's all part of the scheme, I think it would be something that we would look at. We wouldn't dismiss as and also like the person who's asked the question, it would have to take into account, I mean, there's a lot of wildlife in that park as well, so as well as residents, so it would have to be very kind of downlighting and very specific to that area.
Sure, okay. And I'm guessing as we progress things through, I think initially we did speak about the scheme would have to, you know, whatever the final design might be, and the procurement process with the council and the contractors, potentially we'd have to go through the planning process, which would have another formal consultation, you know, against local residents, the lighting proposals, etc. So, okay, great.
But I think what's going to be really important is bringing the residents with us. You know, so the skate park the infrastructure is already there. What we're trying to do is enhance it, and obviously we will do everything we can to negate any you know, any issues that they as residents will want to raise. But hopefully we'll do that through this process now, consultation.
Great. Thank you. Next question we have is from Laura Quater. Hopefully I've said that surname right. Are you applying for SEAL funding this year? What if it's not enough, as this looks exciting but expensive? What's the figure of costs? I know Asha did touch on aspects of the SEAL and the various kind of pots that's available at the moment. Yes, it does look expensive, and our aspirations for the size of the site is certainly going to cost, you know, a good amount of money at the moment. I think we are targeting up to £1.5 million. What can be constructed with that, you know, probably extends to the mugger and kind of other benefits around the skate park, as you know, as you mentioned, some other activities and things like that. So you know, the most funding we can get in, the better a product that we can output, you know, and provide for the community, really. Is there anything else that you want to add to that, Susy or Asha?
No, I think, you know, if we're going to keep up the momentum, I'm encouraging Elevate to put in a SIL application this year. We've just opened the process, and as you know, we've been really lucky in St George. We've been able to secure some decent amount of money from SIL, from the lake, 120,000 pounds. So there's nothing wrong with. I want to push us to go for about 150,000 out of this year's SIL funding, and we'll work on what that can go towards, because it can't just be spent on kind of revenue, etc. But at least we can secure some money now from SIL to go towards the 1.5 million.
Right. And as I said, you know, we're starting this funding process alongside the consultation at the moment, so it's kind of a year early in the plans at the moment. So the more we can get in now, the better. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can add to that as well, just with the funding, because we are also talking to other. I mean, there are lots of different funding streams, and with World Skate, they'll be able to advise us on ones that are specific to skating as well. So
yes,
it is something that, you know, you have to start where you have to start, and it's a big amount of money. But I think once it starts getting generated, like Ash just said, the momentum will build, and then you can match fund, and we can go like that. I think the thing is to build that momentum and get the interest, which is why we're here today, you know, to start that process.
absolutely. Okay, next question. How many we've got now left? We've got 11 questions. Been going for about 35 minutes, so I think we'll try and rattle through these. One of the issues with the current park is that it's not getting the maintenance it needs. When the new park is built, how will we ensure it's looked after in the future? We did kind of touch on earlier that, you know, given the age of the skate park and the kind of piecemeal repairs, as you said, Susy, it's coming to its end of life, just like any construction, you know, building, etc. would have. Once we have a new facility in place, you know, what's the council's kind of method of maintaining that?
Sorry, go on, Esther.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I mean, you know, it's in our park. It's part of our park infrastructure. So what we need to work out is how often we need to maintain it. But I think the great thing about this proposal is that it will have possibly very minimal maintenance, but we will ensure that our parks team has sufficient resources to enable them to maintain parts of it, whatever needs. But I don't know, Susy, if you want to add.
Yeah, no, I can definitely add. I mean, to be honest, I think the new park will have far less maintenance needed. And it's not that we haven't been maintaining, it's just as soon as we fill those holes, it might not look like it's being maintained, but because there are so many, it's a cracked surface, you know, it's completely, I mean, as everyone probably on this call knows, it's completely cracked the surface of some of the ramps, especially those ones that are fenced off, and that's why we had to fence them off, because no matter how much resin we put down to try and bind those pieces together, they just cracked again. So we've been putting a lot of money, and that's why we thought, do we spend a large amount of money to take all those ramps out, and then we've got nothing, or do we spend that money to try and get more money to improve the whole park that will need far less maintenance in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. And just going from my construction background, you know, obviously the materials that we're going to be applying, obviously going to be a bit more hardy. The specifications of, you know, concrete and other materials in this day and age are a lot more kind of stringent than they were, you know, 20, 30 years ago. And, you know, kind of general upkeep of materials such as that are going to be far and few between. I know there's going back to Concrete Waves in Newquay, I know that they're fundraising to make some small repairs where the concrete wasn't sealed properly, you know, on a regular basis. So things like that, we need to get, you know, the clear specifications from, you know, our consultants, the experts, and the park builders to make sure we've got the right maintenance plan moving forward. All right. We've got another anonymous question. Is the plan always for the park to remain free to use? I know the council are trying to find ways for the parks to generate more money. My initial view from Elevate, going back to our presentation, is, you know, we want the skate park to be accessible to all. So I wouldn't imagine we want to be charging for a public facility. I'm sure Susy and Asha would want to jump in and completely agree.
We have no plans to, it's like you say, a public facility, so we don't have plans to charge.
No, we wouldn't be charging, and I think as we move forward with this as well, because, you know, there are lots of ideas that are coming through around kind of repairing and training and who could or should deliver that. So there may be some cost for like training, if they, you know, do a 6-week training on how to skateboard. You know, I might. I don't know how to skate, but you know, it really, we will just look at it. But the local authority at this moment in time, it will be free to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Bike Hub, not Bike Hub, sorry, Bike Bristol, and in the presentation, you know, they might have courses. I'm not sure how much of them are paid for. There might be other schemes, you know, in terms of getting people onto BMXs, onto skateboards, scooters, inline blades, you know, whatever the discipline. But to be honest, it's the kind of community of these extreme sports that not many people really charge for these facilities unless they have something to maintain that's usually privately owned. So, you know, a lot of these mentoring and coaching are going to be kind of local community groups such as ourselves, really. So, no, certainly won't be looking to take money from people to use the facility. All right. The next one is from another anonymous person. The seal pot is very small in comparison to other years. £150,000 would take a massive chunk and not leave a lot for anything else. Is this fair?
Absolutely, it is fair. There is more than enough money in the seal pot. We sit in what is known as Area 4. And we have successfully, over the last 5 years, secured in excess of 200,000 or more across the whole of the St George area. So, and as I said, we could actually look outside of the Area 4 seal pot. And as I said before, looking at the strategic seal, which is the citywide seal funding that is held by the local authority for schemes that have a wider city impact. But yeah, it is very fair. Lots of people put in bids from across the different wards for hundreds, £200,000, and some we fund, some we don't. It will always be down to how much is in the pot at the moment, but there's still quite a significant, I think we have over £1 million in the pot.
Right. Thank you, Asha. I think there was a couple of questions just moved over there. Apologies if I didn't say them out loud, but I think they were just running over some of the questions we've already answered. Another anonymous one. Great to see the plans come forward. Well done to all the team involved. Thank you. I'm interested in the future of the Muga, which is a multi-use games area, the basketball and football court in the centre. The floodlights badly need fixing. Could this be done as part of the project or sooner? Some just need turning on. Part one, are there opportunities to enable new emerging sports in the UK like futsal? South American version of football played in urban spaces. So two aspects to that is the multi-use games area and introducing new sports.
I can talk about the multi-use games area, definitely. Yeah, we will look to sort that we have got a project that we are looking at lighting in Muggers at the moment, and we will be looking at that as part of that. If we can do it sooner, yes, definitely. I mean, it's still there as a separate facility, so we will be, and I'll make a note to bring that up with the project.
Yeah, I mean, in some of our early consultation with the council and the local parks teams, you know, we've had the latest specifications for muggers, and it's certainly an aspiration to have that completely rejuvenated along with the Wheelpark at the moment. So we'll obviously keep plowing on with funding until we obtain that, really. So I've missed the second part of the question. Obviously, as we said before, we want, you know, all sports, not necessarily just those in the Wheelpark, but in the mugger as well, you know, to be accessible to all, really. So, you know, absolutely, you know, if there's an organisation out there that you know undertakes the futsal that he, you know, mentions in his question, then by all means get in touch with you know, the local council or the team. We can try and direct you. All right. Okay, next question is from Andrew Spicer. He has a phased design and build approach being considered, so the children of today get to play instead of waiting for years? Better to build new in phases if money is tight than waste money on maintaining the old poorly designed elements. Interesting, so he's essentially looking whether we cut and carve up the proposals in a number of phases, staggered over maybe a year or two. Interesting concept, but is that something we'd consider, Susy?
It could be a consideration. We have done that. We have done that on smaller projects, not skate. But I think the thing I'd be conscious of there is that we'd need to have like a definite phased approach rather than it just being, you know, we'd have to say, right, this is going to be funded, this we do it with play areas, you know, have a design for the whole thing, have a vision for the whole park, and then say phase one, we're going to fund that bit this year, so that it all fits together rather than not. But yeah, it's something that we could look at.
Okay, I mean, just coming from my background in construction, yeah, obviously know about a design and build process and phasing of construction projects, and ultimately phasing projects will ultimately extend the program period and probably add to more cost in terms of site setup. And also, you know, it's a public space. You want to minimise the amount of construction for one period. You know, health and safety issues of having a, you know, a live working Wheelpark area and a live construction site. So it wouldn't be my preferred route, but I think, you know, once we see where the funding is ending up, maybe at the end of year 1 or 2, you know, and through the consultation process, if that's something that we need to explore, then we can certainly have a look at it.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be my considered approach either. Where we have done it, it's been with play areas, and it's kind of delivery of play equipment. So it's not like that we're, you know, it's a construction site. It's just one piece of equipment going in. Yeah,
agreed. So another anonymous question: the current park is in a right state. Sorry to agree. What can we do to keep the park in use until a new design is built? I think we did kind of already touch on this earlier, Susy, in terms of, you know, the quotations you've had are quite high at the moment. We're trying to work with us in terms of what our proposals are and getting funding in quickly. I mean, is there a timescale where we think we, you know, have to bite the bullet and do some repairs to reopen an area, or not?
We are looking into it. Yeah, we're looking into it because we have to have options, you know, on to be honest, we haven't had, we've gone for different quotes for different kind of approaches, you know, whether it is just a taking out some of those ramps that are fenced off at the moment, and then developing the rest of the site. And we haven't had anything back from any contractors as yet, but we are still chasing that, you know, so that is something that's on the.
Okay. I will add, it's a very busy time in construction at the moment. So all the contractors are busy, subcontractors, material supply, and everything. So I can completely understand if you're still awaiting tenders back. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. How many questions have we got? They keep flooding in, so we're back up to 6 questions. I think it will have to make a cut off fairly soon, but we'll try and go through a couple more. Ray Henry, so there's 2 questions from Ray Henry. They just jumped between them. If the number of users increases, will there be additional cafe provision in the park? The existing cafe gets incredibly busy as it is.
So can I come in with that one? So, and I'll be putting in my own responses to the survey, but I know that residents of St George and some of the community organisations for many years now have had an ambition of creating a kind of indoor cafe area, and we have the site near the Bowls Club at this moment in time. Now, we had gone through a consultation exercise about what was going to be happening around those bowls clubs, because some of them are, we can't continue to kind of maintain them, particularly as the use of the bowling area goes down. But I've always been of the opinion that we still want to keep maybe the green that's currently in play alive, but we really need to actually raise that building to the ground. It is really, really old and dilapidated, and I've seen some really great designs in other parks, including the one up the road at Page Park, and where we can actually design a really nice a building on that space that can provide a cafe facility, maybe a place for meeting room changing facilities, because obviously we still have the tennis area and the bowling area. So yeah, we can be as ambitious as we want to be, but I'd love for that to be incorporated as part of that design. And again, the local authority will look at how we can help to fund that.
Right, thanks, Asha. I know when we met and completed the promotion video that summer, you were very passionate about incorporating the other areas of the park as well, particularly that bowling green area and buildings. So we want to do as much as we can, really. Okay, same person with another question. What help do you need at this stage? I mean, at the moment, we're going to send out the links to the crowdfunding. So, if you want to pitch in and get the kind of funding off the ground, we'll send those links out. It's got a bit of information there. There's another video there, which is worth a watch as well. It's got a lot of users interviews and their kind of approach to the concept of Elevate. I mean, beyond that, I'm not sure. Yeah, Asha and Susie, whether you got anything more to add?
Getting the word out there, I'd say.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking, how do we get the word out? I think one of the things I'd be keen to do, and I'm happy to work with Susie on this, is and to Elevate Bristol, is getting a press release out, and we send it out far and wide, and hopefully we get a lot of press interest in this, and and just get the city behind this, because it isn't just, as one of the things I love about St George Park, it is a destination park. It may be it's a local park to us as residents, but it is a destination park for people even outside of Bristol. I've spoken to people who are just in for the day. They've come from Bath, they've come from Swindon. So I think that's what we've got to contemplate, that we will see an increase in footfall once we realise these designs, and so yeah, we need to get the whole city behind us. And there's a couple of people I'm also speaking to who want to invest in the city, and they're looking for really good ideas, and they really want to support young people, children and young people initiatives in the city. So I've already kind of dropped this into the conversation that we've had with them, and it's up to them to decide how they want that money to be spent. But one of the things I will say is that there's a lot of money in this city over and above the local authorities funding. And so what we've got to do is ignite the same kind of fire that many of us have for this project with others in the city who may be willing to back this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, going back to the actual Elevate team, we've got a background of various professions in design. We've got web designers, video production people, graphic designers. From construction side, I'm a quantity surveyor, deal with commercial and contracts. We've got a project manager in construction. All great skills, but we can always, there's always lots to do, to be honest. So if there's any other volunteers that want to come and join the team, then just drop us an email from the website. Okay, we're down to 3 questions. What sort of costs are we talking about for these concept designs? I did answer that briefly earlier on, that the kind of target was around the 1.5 million mark, depending on aspirations and how far we can spread that between the Mugger and other facilities around the park. The next one, Andrew Spicer, again, has any consideration been given to a mixed use site to raise funding? Part of the park could be undercover or weather, with another use above, similar to the housing in the adjacent car park. That's quite an interesting concept. I'm not sure we've got any undercover skate parks in Bristol.
Oh, there is an undercover skate park, isn't there? The one that's in
Bishopsworth.
Bishopsworth, yeah, and there's another one in South Gloucestershire between Yates and that a youth centre was taken over, and they did kind of an indoor.
That's Canvas, yes, yeah. The Canvas board, they've got a couple of locations.